Nursing school can be a whirlwind of information, assignments, and long study hours. One of the keys to navigating this challenging journey successfully is staying organized and having a solid plan. But let's keep it simple because simplicity often leads to consistency. As you can see here, I've kept my academic life compartmentalized away from everything else that I store in my digital space. By doing this, I've already began to organize my studies along with my thoughts with the material. In today's video, I'll walk you through some very simple and straightforward yet powerful organization and planning strategies for your digital space. These techniques have significantly boosted my study efficiency and time management, and I believe they can do the same for you. So let's dive in. Diving into my digital space, let's explore the system I employed throughout my nursing journey, which I use to optimize study efficiency through clean organization. Here's the thing, my organizational approach is simple and straightforward, but its effectiveness cannot be understated. Firstly, I distinctly separated my academic life from other digital clutter. This initial step paved the way for a clearer mindset and more focused study sessions. I primarily operated with two key folders, the current class folder and the University School of Nursing folder, which encompassed all documents from day one of my nursing journey. Once a class concluded, I moved the current class folder into the main directory, making way for the upcoming class. So at the end of your nursing program, you'll have something that ends up looking like this: a main folder containing individual folders for each course, alongside any other relevant documents. Let's delve into the Nursing 2410 folder as an example. Inside, I had unit-specific folders, the class syllabus, and other related materials. I always kept the syllabus handy for quick calendar and curriculum checks, which helped me guide my study plans. Each unit folder housed relevant lectures and study materials. Additionally, I introduced an audio's lecture section within each unit for easy access to class recordings. This was a game changer during review sessions. Now switching gears, let's discuss my school email and calendar for seamless time management. I began by establishing a personal student label, where I archived emails unrelated to my current coursework. I also had a financial aid folder, which of course will depend on your financing route. And the active class emails also got their own folder. Once the class ended, this folder could be hidden to reduce visual noise. Furthermore, all the hidden folders are tucked under the More section. Attending nursing school comes with its fair share of challenges and demands. In an effort to streamline my focus and reduce unnecessary cognitive and visual distractions, I ensure that only the most crucial folders remain visible. In this case, my current class, my personal student folder, and the financial aid folder are the only visible labels. This approach helps me maintain clarity and efficiency in my studies. Given the Gmail setup in my nursing program, Google Calendar was my go-to for tracking crucial dates, though any good calendar app or even a physical planner should do the trick. After setting up my email, I imported important dates from the syllabus. While I won't drag you through an entire syllabus entry, I'll demonstrate adding a few class schedules and an exam date, which will set the stage for an upcoming video. And I want to do this because in my nursing program, a lot of the times it was either a Tuesday-Thursday split or a Monday-Friday split. Because our classes were only 7 to 8 weeks long, we usually had 3 to 4 lectures followed by an exam. So in this example, I'm going to use the Tuesday-Thursday class schedule, but starting the first lecture on week 1's Thursday, followed by a Tuesday-Thursday lecture of week 2, and exam on Tuesday of week 3. And what I want to do is walk you through how I import that into the Google Calendar. So I'm going to click on my Google Calendar over here and then click here, and we're going to expand this whole thing so we can see the entire calendar. Alright, for this example, let's say we just got our syllabus and we start class Thursday. And we've got lecture 1 on Thursday here on the 26th. Lecture 2 is going to be on the 31st of Tuesday. And then the third lecture is going to be on the 2nd of November, followed by our first unit exam here on the 7th of November. All right, let's start adding those dates in from our syllabus and achieving that time management that we all desire. Now let's say our classes are from 8 to 10, as well as our test times. So we'll click on 8 a.m. here on the 26th, which is going to be our first day of school here. And let's add in Lecture 1. And after checking the syllabus, we notice that this is going to cover diabetes mellitus. Now that we have that typed in, let's hit on More Options. And I'm going to choose the class time as my favorite color is orange, but let's go with flamingo. So I'm going to denote here on my lecture hours are flamingo. All right, we've set our lecture hours color to flamingo. Now let's just add in lecture hours on campus for lecture 1, diabetes mellitus. All right. Now, if you'd like, you could add in your location. That's probably a little superfluous. You know where you're going, I'm sure. But if you didn't, you could plug that in. So I like to have a couple notifications set up along with an email set up as well, because nursing school gets so busy and overwhelming and you've got so much to do. I like to have those constant reminders. That way I'm staying on top of my studies and the deadlines and where and when I've got to be places. So that's why I go a little over the top with this, but I promise you, and if you're already in nursing school, you know how overwhelming it is to be constantly trying to figure out what you need to do, what you need to study, where you need to be. And so this really helps out with that whole time management aspect of nursing school, because I would rather spend more of my time on the things that matter than pulling myself away trying to figure out what I need to do. This is a little tedious up front, I'm not going to lie. But I promise this pays off in time and dividends in the future by taking just a little extra time up front and then plugging all this stuff in. And then when you sit down and you look at your calendar, you already know what you need to do. You already know where you need to be, so on and so forth. So you don't have to add in as many notifications as I do. I just get real caught up with all the things I've got going on, and I like to have a constant reminders. So add in notifications as you like. I just want to show you how I prefer things, and then you can obviously make your own revisions. I just want to show you how I prefer to do this. All right, so our first notification of 10 minutes. Now, I don't know about you, but 10 minutes is not a big enough heads up for me to get to class if I didn't remember. So I'm going to say at least 2 hours before the lecture. So I'm going to say that 2 hours is probably good. If for some reason I did forget I needed to be at lecture, that would probably give me enough time. Now, to make sure that I don't forget that I have lecture, the next one is going to be 1 day before. 1 day gives me a good heads up in case I got caught up with work or clinicals. I'll at least know I need to set my alarm for the morning and get up at a decent hour. Next, for lecture hours, I'm going to go with 3 days in advance. There's no real rhyme or reason behind that. I just feel like 3 days out, I can kind of gauge my real short-term plans and then be prepared for that lecture hour. Next, I'm going to set up an email notification, and I'm going to have the email come to me 1 day before. It's always really important to me to know what I need to set my alarm for the next day. So I set the 1 day email because I need to know what time I need to set my alarm for in the morning. Now, I know that some people have a very rigid sleep time and wake up time. I never was able to accomplish that. Between work, school, and my personal life, it's really hard to say from day to day when you're going to be able to sleep, when you're going to be able to get up. So at least this email the day before lets me know I need to get up at a certain hour and I need to be somewhere. And then maybe I won't stay up so late, studying or hanging out or, whatever I got going on. That one email is going to be good for me. And then also I'm going to set up another email just 3 days beforehand. And I think this 3 day thing kind of comes from, I want to know on like Friday or Saturday of the weekend, like what I've got coming up at the top of the week. That's kind of how I like that. Like I said, play around with this, see what you like. I mean, you might only want one notification, and that's obviously totally fine. All right. We're going to end. These are 2-hour lectures, so we're going to say our class time's 8 to 10. All right, let's save that. Next Tuesday on the 31st is going to be our lecture 2, coming in at 8 a.m. Lecture 2, and this is going to be heart failure. And just to make things aesthetically pleasing, let's add in a heart right there. There we go. And we'll go to more options. Now let's set our Flamingo lecture hours. And this is going to be lecture hours on campus for lecture 2, covering heart failure. And you know what? We'll just add that back in again anyway. Once again, we're going to change this up to 10 a.m. We got our 2-hour lecture block. So I have both of these notifications coming to my phone, but sometimes I miss notifications. However, I always check my email at least twice a day. So if I miss the notifications on my phone, I'll catch it in the web browser when I check it on my computer. And then one last email. We'll do that 3 days before. All right. All right, now our third class is going to be on November the 2nd at 8 a.m. And this is going to be lecture 3 over osteoporosis. And let's add in let's see if we can add a bone in. Yeah, there we go. And maybe, we already got milk here. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Cool. All right, now let's change our Flamingo lecture hours. And let's say lecture 3, lecture hours on campus. And let's add in our emojis there just for fun. And we're going to change that to our 10 o'clock, 2-hour block. Oh, we didn't hit 8. There we go. You know, if I miss something doing this, then there's no hope for me. All right, there we go. We've got our 3 lectures in. So we've got our first lecture on Thursday, our diabetes mellitus. We've got it ready and rock and roll to notify us. This also lets us know what to pre-study as well for this day. And then on Tuesday the 31st, we've got our heart failure lecture. On Thursday, we have our osteoporosis lecture. Now we're going to have the Unit 1 exam on the following Tuesday, which is going to be November the 7th. So this is a really important date, and I don't know how all nursing schools are, but missing an exam date in ours was a really big deal, and you don't want to be late and you don't want to miss it because you have to have a really good reason why, if not. So at 8 a.m. is going to be our exam. So we're going to say Unit 1 exam. And you know what? Just to be really optimistic, because you're studying so well, you know you're going to get that 100. So we'll put Unit 1 exam 100. Let's go into options here. I don't want to put red as our exam days. I want to put it as green is for go, and we're going to say green because we're going on to the next test because we're going to do so well on this one. Unit 1 exam on campus. And let's add in that 100 emoji again just to keep our spirits at 100.
Now here, I want to add the 1 hour. I'll change this over to real quick. Notification to, no, not just 2 hours. Change this to 1 day. 3 days. We'll do this to 1 day.
And here's where things are going to be a little different. Now I want to know that this exam is coming up a week in advance. So I set that last notification as a week prior, just so I can make sure that I'm buckled down and homing in on what I need to focus for that unit exam. That way I'm staying as prepared as I can be for this first unit exam. And there you have it. That's how I added in my class hours and my unit exam hours into Google Calendar. But I also recommend adding in your clinical hours, study hours, and anything else that you could add into your calendar to stay on top of your time management throughout nursing school. As we wrap up, remember, success in nursing school is a blend of diligence, dedication, and strategic organization. By simplifying and streamlining your digital space, you not only free up your mental energy, but also set a strong foundation for effective studying. So implement these strategies, tweak them according to your needs, and watch your academic journey transform. You've got this.